and we're going to be talking about um, Dr. Joe Dispenza's book on becoming supernatural. And Dr. Joe Dispenza is a scientist, he's a speaker, he's an author who teaches people how to use their minds to heal their bodies and
Mhm.
change their lives, to create your dream life so that you create your dream life. But he combines science with spirituality and to show how our thoughts and emotions shape our reality. In Becoming Supernatural, he explains how we can break free from our old habits, reprogram our minds, and tap into higher levels of energy to transform our lives. Kind of like what James is doing. And then he shares techniques like meditation, visualizations, and breathing exercises to help us shift into a more powerful state of being. Um, After we introduce these key ideas, we talk about the key ideas, I'll do a guided meditation inspired by his work, and then we'll have some time to reflect and discuss how you guys feel. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Cool. So let me do a share screen. Okay. And 1 second, before I do the share screen, we got one more person. Let me joining. Yeah. Okay. And let me do a share screen. Hi, iPad. Welcome in.
Mhm.
Um,
Hello.
hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Thanks, great.
Good. We're
Doing good.
good.
All right.
We're about to start the Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural, and I will just do a share screen right now. Do you guys see this?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Okay, cool. So, and then I think I have to click it, right? Yeah. Okay. So, Genesis, do you want to start?
Sure. Yes. So, as we mentioned, we're going to be talking about Joe Dispenza's work. Today we'll be mostly focusing on the very first couple of chapters, mainly the second chapter. He gives us kind of an overview of the biological processes that are happening when we're learning things and how that contributes to some of the thought patterns and habits, and also how that influences our lives and the future, right? And our reality as it's before it's even here. So it's a pretty big concept, but we'll kind of go through each thing. So that's why I titled it The Neuroscience of Our Inner Reality, because it really is using science to shape our thoughts. And as you guys know, that really influences our reality, what we do and what we create outside of us. Um, so becoming supernatural, yeah. One of the things that his main focus here in his work is freeing oneself by reconditioning our body to a new mind, a new way of thinking, shifting our awareness into the quantum field. And I know that's something you guys might have heard before. Uh, it's kind of like another concept too there, but today it's mostly focused on the biological part, and using your thoughts and meditation as tools to achieve these goals. So, reshaping our thoughts through meditation by bringing awareness to now and really focusing on what it is that we're feeling, that we're thinking, so that we can change our future and change ourselves and create what it is that we want to create, that life that we want to create. Because what happens many times, we are stuck in fear. We're stuck in a way of thinking that hasn't been helping us get to where we want to be. So, to do that, this is where we start. Let's start with getting to know how our brain works, how our mind works. Okay.
And most of it is through meditation, right?
Yes. Yes. So meditation is definitely one of the key tools here. And then as we continue, to talk more about his work in other chapters and other meetings, I'll have other tools like some of the breathing techniques, visualization techniques, but the ultimate tool here is meditation. And it is what we've already been doing, right? And in our meetings. So it'll be a really nice way to kind of get a better understanding of how have these meditations been helping us, and how can we continue to help us by maybe even incorporating more meditation, right, in our day. Because there is that understanding that meditation helps, it's good for you, but how? Well, what is it really doing in with our body? What's really happening? And this is kind of where we get to learn that here. Okay. So we're talking about our mind, what that is, like what is the mind? There's so many ways to think about the mind. Some people say it's the soul of the body. I mean, there's just so many ways that you can describe it, right? But to kind of help it connect to what we're talking about, how Joe Dispenza describes it's pretty simple and it's pretty straightforward. And so in the next one, he kind of introduces that, right? So let's see. Yeah, next one. Okay, so the mind and brain. So pretty much what the mind is when any neurological tissue in the brain or body is activated, that creates our mind, right? So the mind is the brain in action. And so the mind and body, they're not separate. What affects one affects the other. It's kind of, the mind is a result of, right, all of these processes that are happening at a biological level. So our thoughts, everything, that's our brain working. So to kind of put it in a more scientific perspective, right? Okay. Okay, so now let's kind of change a little bit focus here, right? So our brain is creating our mind. It's creating the thoughts that we are thinking, the feelings, the experience. And so our brain is a product of the past. Okay, so we're going to be definitely talking a lot about the past and how that relates to all of this. And so to begin with, of course, the brain has been shaped and molded to become a living record of everything we've learned and experienced up to this point. So everything that we do, everything that we're thinking, we learned it at some point, and it's what we use to live, right? And so when you're experiencing something new, your senses write the story neurologically. Even more neurons come together, and essentially it's upgrading the brain. So as we're learning new things, experiencing new things, new neural circuits are being created, right? And so when this is happening, we can be experiencing emotions, right? So think about the time when you learned how to drive a car. How did you feel? Were you scared? Were you nervous? Your brain was creating these circuits in that moment, and at the same time you were experiencing an emotion, whatever that was. And Joe refers to these emotions as the chemical residue from past experiences. So now let's kind of dive a little deeper into what that means, right? So a chemical residue. So maybe that first day you were extremely scared, really nervous, and maybe you were still scared and nervous the next couple of times, right? And so even though it was more pronounced in the first one, you're still experiencing this in the next one. And maybe even before the third time, you're already anticipating that that's how you're going to feel because that's how you felt in these last ones, right? So that's the chemical residue of the past experiences. So those emotions that you felt there, they're still carrying on in these events that are going to happen. So Yes.
Your brain is the product of the past. So, but he's talking about not just trauma, right? He's talking about everything, as I understand. Is
Mhm.
that correct? So, if you
Yes.
had a bad experience, if you had a good experience, it's still something you're going to be bringing into your future, right? Or
Exactly.
into your present.
Yes. So another example, and I don't know why this popped up in my mind, but let's recall maybe a time where a loved one who isn't here anymore, maybe taught us something very valuable. And in that moment, we might have experienced a very high emotion of happiness, of joy, of belonging, and that emotion was very pronounced, of course, in that moment. But maybe now every time we think about it, we still feel that. We might still feel that emotion. And that's the chemical residue of that past experience. So your brain created these circuits from learning that and associated that event with this special person. And now when you think about it, you're reliving that past in your mind because those neurons are firing and you're feeling this emotion again, right? So that's where it kind of brings that. And yeah, that's a great point. It's not just negative experiences, it's also positive ones too.